We're recording. Hey everyone, welcome to the July 29th SIG Apps meeting. My name's Adnan Abdul Hussain and I'll be leading us through this today. We also have Matt Farina and Janet who are on a call, who are co-hosting. So the first topic that we have here is this kept for a new cron job concurrency policy catch-up. Kiwei, are you on the call to chat about this?
Yeah, sure. Let me share my screen real quick. Yeah, I'm just sharing with my laptop. I'm talking through this other laptop audio script. Hi, my name is Kawei, and it's my first time attending this meeting, and I'd like to talk about KEP that I proposed. So the goal of this is to add a new concurrency policy in cron job called catch-up, such that missed jobs are not skipped and will be scheduled in sequential order instead. So the motivation behind this is that currently in Kubernetes cron job, if any task is missed, a cron job controller will simply just skip it and immediately, no matter what concurrency policy is in use. So this is totally fine at the moment because Kubernetes cron job currently only supports kind of stateless cron job. However, it doesn't fit for cron jobs that needs to know the exact time range of the data it's going to process. For example, I can have a cron job that runs every hour and only process the logs within the previous hour. Say, due to some bugs or issues, the job now temporarily takes 3 hours to run. So with current cron job setup, multiple jobs will be skipped in the middle and it's really hard to backfill them. So that's why I propose to add a behavior called catch-up. So instead of skipping all those jobs, we kind of stack them up and schedule them one by one in sequential order. So no task is missed. So the feature by itself isn't that powerful enough. So I propose two other minor improvements along with this feature. The first one is I'd like to expose the original planned runtime of the job in the job object. So with this information available, the catch-up behavior could be more powerful and useful. Because first of all, the job could take this timestamp and figure out what time range of data it should process. Second of all, it could make backfill a lot easier because we know which time range we're backfilling. The third one is it enables more complicated scheduling logic. For example, we might want to instrument the start time, end time, or maybe have some offset of the actual start time, end time. So this could be done by writing up a webhook that leverage this newly exposed information and inject the instrumented value into the job with a webhook. So that's the first minor improvement. So the second one is currently we have this maximum 100 missed schedules checks, which sets for all concurrency policy. I would like to change that to only check it when the concurrency policy is set to allow. So I think the original implementation that added this had this cap on it because it tries to prevent in some scenario, if there's a clock skew or something, it might launch a million tasks at the same time if concurrent behavior is allowed. However, this particular scenario is trying to prevent, actually doesn't exist at all based on the current code implementation. Because currently in the code, if multiple unmet schedules are seen, it will only pick the latest one. There's no scenario it will launch multiple jobs at once in the controller. By only checking the cap on allowed, that means in forbidden, for example, in forbidden, at the moment, if we have say 1,000 missed tasks in the middle, right now it will simply just say, oh, I cannot determine if the job needs to be started because there are too many missed start time. Instead of saying like that, it will just simply skip all previous 1,000 or whatever, whatever missed jobs and start it from the latest one. That will make things a little less complicated. Yeah. So pretty much, it is the sort of summary of the proposal I made. So I'd like to join this meeting and seek any thoughts and comments on this, and hopefully can get it reviewed at some time. And if you any questions, feel free to ask me.
Sorry, I got disconnected there. Thanks, QA. Does anyone have any feedback on that cap?
Yeah, I would like to take a deeper look at the proposal and give feedback in the cap. I'm assigning myself.
Great, thanks, Janet.
Yeah, I think the policy is generally useful. I think maybe the corner cases will be slightly hard to catch. Like if you wake up after a year because the time has changed or something on the server, you probably don't want to go crazy about creating all those jobs. But I think that can be handled. And I haven't read the proposal, so sorry if it's somewhere there. I have copied Maciej. He should be back next week, so I hope he can take a look as well because he wrote the cron jobs. Or is managing them for us.
Thanks.
Adnan, are you there? Can the rest of you hear me?
I can hear you.
I wonder if we lost Adnan again. It just says he's muted.
He suggested he's had some issues before, so maybe.
Yeah. So, okay. He may have disappeared on us, which is why we don't hear him jumping in here, and we have some of these silence problems. So for the moment, I'll talk until he comes back and try to fill in. Adnan, if you're there, feel free to jump back in. If not,
Hey, sorry, I'm back.
oh, there you are. Okay, we understand you're having problems. I was just talking. So we didn't move on to the next item yet.
Yeah, actually, if Matt, if you want to take over, this seems to be happening quite a lot, so I'm a little.
Okay, I can try and do that. Is there anything else with this topic we wanted to talk about? I think Janet and I'm going to go take a quick poke on it after this meeting. Is there anybody else who had any other comments? Once, twice. Thank you for submitting it. The use case is, I understand the use case, and we'll take a look. Thank you. The next topic we have is, should SIG apps move to bi-weekly calls? I'm the one who added this, so I'm happy to speak up on it. The reason that we asked this question is quite often we have enough for maybe half a call instead of a full call. And many of the SIGs do have their meetings bi-weekly. And so we haven't had the same level of content we've had in the past. We're in a lull. Maybe it's the summer, maybe it's a maturity around some of these things that we've got right here. There just hasn't been as much content to discuss. And so it's not unusual for a SIG to meet every other week. And so we wanted to pose the idea here. What do you all think?
I think that's reasonable. And yeah, people are on PTOs, and if we start having a lot of topics, we can always go back. But right now, it seems bi-weekly is working for me.
Okay, that was kind of the same thought I had. So if we need
I agree.
Yeah, I also agree. I think bi-weekly makes sense.
Yeah, I also agree. Given the light agendas we've had recently, I think that makes sense.
So let me ask this question then. Is there anybody who disagrees? Which is perfectly fine. We're looking for. So if there's no disagreement here, what I would suggest as the next step is we send something out to the mailing list, and I can take that action. And then if we don't hear anything back by Friday, then we can cancel next Mondays and start the bi-weekly right away. Does that sound acceptable?
Sounds good to me.
Yeah, sounds good.
Okay, great. I'll take the action because it involves, if it passes, we've got to go update the community repo, and we've got to update the calendar, and of course there's a mailing list to make sure there's all these things. I can go ahead and chase down those logistics. That's not too hard.
Thanks, Matt.
All right. Yeah, no problem. Thank you.
Yeah, thanks, Matt.
The third topic that we have for today is KubeCon San Diego's coming up, and we have two sessions, an intro and a deep dive. Now, I'll give a little history for those of you who may not have followed these, because I've been to a number of them. We have traditionally done them as two separate sessions until the last one in Europe. That's when we put them together in one. In the previous session, like the previous US one, where the intros and deep dives were away from much of the rest of the conference, the sessions weren't that well attended. But I know that a number of the SIG sessions were not that well attended that I stuck my head into. And it may be because they were scheduled separately, physically, from everything else. I think there were some issues with combining them last time just by the mix of audiences. And so I think the suggestion this time is to break them apart again into an intro and deep dive. And possibly do something like in the deep dive, do a code walkthrough of, say, a controller or something like that along the way. So that's my intro to the topic. Who wants to share and talk about this?
I also like splitting them because I felt that worked better. And if you are looking for a code walkthrough, I can do one.
Thanks for volunteering for that. Yeah, so at KubeCon EU just gone, we had the combined session, which was an hour and a half, and it was definitely longer than we needed. And And we had a mix of people who were just new to SIG apps and wanted to find out about what it was, and people who were kind of SIG apps veterans and were just showing up. So I think splitting them up into separate sessions will make a lot more sense. So we could have an intro where we just kind of talk about what SIG apps is, and then ideally that's before the deep dive, and we can point people who've gone to the intro and are interested in going through a code walkthrough to the deep dive.
Yeah, maybe we can do a voting on, or something like starting a thread to talk about what we want to discuss in the deep dive.
That's a great idea, yeah.
Did somebody want to take the action to email the list?
Yeah, I can email SIG apps.
Thank you. I'm beginning to like having actions on some of this stuff with names next to that. So in future meetings, we can follow up. Although the one note about this is if we move to bi-weekly, I think we're only going to have one more meeting then before. Let me pull this up here. We would have we'd have a meeting on the 12th. Yeah, so we'd have one meeting before this stuff is due to even talk more about it, because it's like 2.5 weeks away is when this stuff closes for maintainers to submit things for chairs and stuff to make this happen.
We can always submit the deep dive.
That's true.
The topic we can decide on later. We can just say there'll be a code walkthrough or something, and then and if we need to change it, I don't think that would be a problem.
Yeah, and hopefully we can sort it out on mailing list. So we should just check in on the next meeting.
Yeah. Any more thoughts on San Diego?
Here's a question that I have. I've done some of the intros. It's been a little while. And so I'm looking at the intro here, and I'm wondering what would be really good content to have in an app's intro. Do we talk about the application CRD and controller? Do we talk about the concept of apps? Where would be best for this to go for somebody who's interested in this, like contributing to the SIG? All of the above. Does anyone have any thoughts on that?
So personally, I think talking about where to contribute and how is good idea. And I would also like to see in the intro, like just show what workload controllers we have, what are they good for, and this is what you can use, this is what our SIG is maintaining. And
yeah, I've noticed
is good for a different type of workload. So just giving them just a brief overview.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I've noticed from the audience that it's not always immediately clear that we're maintaining some of those APIs. So putting more emphasis on that, I think, is a good idea. And also just showing how people can get started contributing in general. So like the contributor guide and stuff like that, we could go through.
That's a good idea. I also like the idea of talking more about some of the controllers. One of the things, and it's been on my long-term to-do list, and somehow I've never gotten around to it, is if you actually go to the docs, we talk about the different controllers, but there isn't a single thing that says, here's what the different controllers do that we have. And here's how you would use them. There's no overview. In fact, if I start poking around, I don't know that there is anywhere an overview of the different apps controllers. People kind of have to go figure it out for themselves. So that may be a good thing to have in some kind of audio form or video form.
Yeah, agreed.
Okay. Thank you. Anything else on San Diego?
We can also encourage people to come to demo whatever tool they build. And I think one of the things that's missing is that we don't have a good list of issues that new contributors can find and tackle them. Like a good first issue or good first or help wanted.
So we're missing the help wanted or good first issue for apps related things?
Yeah.
Okay.
I think we actually ran into this on one meeting some time back. And I think we ended up talking about that there are no clearly good first issues, because for something to be fixed in workload controllers, you need to know all the machinery and how it works, basically. You need to know the controllers and shared informers and stuff like that, usually.
Yeah, I think I remember that.
So that's pretty hard to start up without knowing this.
And that's one of the things we could do here in a future SIG apps. Just have a code walkthrough that walks through and teaches this. It's one of the things Paris has suggested in the past, because then you can share it with people, so that way, good first issue. Okay, you've got to learn about shared informers, things like that. Ooh, go watch this video. There's a lot of people who learn that way, and that could be an opportunity to help grow the contributor base and give them a better understanding.
Yeah, there are actually videos like that. We just probably don't link them, but I recall Maciej. He gave a talk about writing controllers and understanding the shared informers and stuff. I think it was like 2-3 KubeCons back. I think he actually sent a link last time we talked about it. We just didn't follow up on it, I think. And I bet someone else has given a similar talk as well. I just seen Maciej's, so that's why I mentioned it.
No, that's good. I'd forgotten about that. It may be worth going through some of the issues just to see whether a good first issue or help wanted would make sense on some of them, so that at least we could have a link we could point people to if there are some. That could be a good curation task.
Yeah, we could go through the issues on the next meeting if there is time.
Yeah.
I guess. And we can see where we get.
Okay. I guess we've got time for open discussion. Did anyone have anything else to bring up and discuss?
Well, related to San Diego, actually, another thing that we have is the Contributor Summit, and I think we can have a face-to-face session there. I don't think it's been organized yet, but that was the case in Barcelona, and we didn't actually have a face-to-face session, but that's something that we could do for San Diego.
I like the idea.
Okay. Yeah.
Is there like officially like every SIG can have face-to-face there, or?
Yeah, so I think when they start organizing the Contributor Summit, when they started organizing it for Barcelona, they sent out a request for SIG leads to sign up for face-to-face sessions. And then it gets added to the schedule for the Contributor Summit. Then each SIG will have their own room to discuss stuff.
Yeah, that sounds cool.
And the Contributor Summit is usually the day before the conference starts, so typically the Monday.
Yeah. And I see that the very first information on the Contributor Summit came out about 12 minutes before this meeting started.
Oh, I
It's
missed
one
that.
of Paris's actions for the chairs. So the very first information is just coming out now. I haven't looked at it.
Nice.
Okay. Yeah, that sounds like a good idea to have some time there to talk through this stuff. Okay. Is there anything else? Any other open discussion topics? Going once, going twice, going 3 times. All right, then I think we've covered everything this week. Thanks everyone for coming.
Thanks, Matt.
Have a wonderful week or 2.
Thanks, everyone. Bye-bye.
Thanks.
Thanks. Bye.